Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for being here. I want to thank Congressman Langevin, Lieutenant Governor McKee, and Mayor Elorza for joining me today. More than 500,000 Americans have now died in this pandemic, including more than 2,500 right here in our state. Millions have lost their jobs, small businesses here in Rhode Island, and of course our country have been forced to close. There's no other way to put it that this virus has wreaked havoc on our country and has created an economic crisis and a public health crisis for families all across America, including right here in Rhode Island. Democrats won the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives because we promised to deliver the relief the American people needed. And today we're here to report that help is on the way. The President's American Rescue Plan, which the House passed early Saturday morning, delivers $1.9 trillion and leverages the full force of the federal government to take on this crisis, with $20 billion to create a national vaccine program and $50 billion for testing so we can crush this virus once and for all. Here in Rhode Island, it will provide nearly $1.7 billion in new money for our state and local governments to keep frontline workers on the job as we roll out the vaccine and build back our economy. More than $1.1 billion goes to state government, with the rest going to municipalities, and as an example, the City of Providence will receive $132 million. As we move forward, it's critical that every level of government, federal, state, and local, work closely together, and I know that all of us are committed to doing that. In addition, this package provides another round of survival checks, $422 billion in total, to put money directly in the pockets of working people. Last summer, the first round of stimulus payments provided roughly $900 million to 560,000 Rhode Islanders. This round will be more generous because it includes benefits for adult dependents, and so a family of 4 under the income threshold would receive $5,600. 76,000 Rhode Islanders received federal supplemental unemployment benefits last week. This bill extends those benefits through August and raises the federal benefit from $300 per week to $400 per week. We're also slated to receive $437 million to help K-12 schools open safely and to address the impact of the pandemic on the well-being of students. Another $180 million will be provided to our colleges and universities, at least half of which has to go directly to students who are at risk of going hungry or homeless as a result of the pandemic. The bill also includes $93 million for child care here in Rhode Island, so more working moms and dads can get back to their office or back to work when it's safe to do so, and $3 million for kids and families in Head Start. This measure also provides $7.25 billion in Paycheck Protection Program funding and allocates additional funds for economic injury disaster loan advances, EIDL loans. Both of these have been really vital lifelines for our state and particularly our small businesses, and have provided $2.6 billion for businesses and nonprofits through more than 28,000 loans and grants in 2020. The legislation also includes $25 billion in direct aid set aside just for restaurants and bars that have been especially hard hit in the pandemic. Even before the pandemic hit, 146,000 Rhode Island households were struggling to make their monthly housing payments, and that's why it's so important that this bill includes an estimated $152 million for emergency rental assistance to Rhode Island and an estimated $40 million to the state through the Homeowner Assistance Fund. Finally, this bill also gives minimum wage earners their first pay raise in more than a decade, a move that will benefit more than 100,000 Rhode Islanders. More than 1 out of every 5 workers in our state will get a raise through the increase in the minimum wage. Many of these people have stayed on the job over the past year as essential workers. We cannot call them essential if we do not honor their work with a living wage, and this bill does just that. This past year, I think, has tried all of us in many different ways, in ways that we never anticipated. I want to acknowledge the people of Rhode Island who have risen to meet this challenge. Every day I hear from people all across our state who want to know what they can do to help others right now. I particularly want to extend a special note of gratitude to our healthcare workers, our first responders, the hardworking men and women in our grocery stores and pharmacies, our school teachers and administrators, and our state and municipal employees, all of whom have courageously kept our state and communities strong and really have demonstrated tremendous commitment to their work during this unprecedented crisis. We fought for passage of the rescue plan so you would have every possible resource to do your job, to keep our state healthy and on track to recover and to return home safely to your families and loved ones each and every day after your shift has concluded. But we owe you all an incredible debt of gratitude, so thank you. In many ways, I think this crisis has revealed the character of our state and the people of Rhode Island. All they want in return is for Washington to do its part and to get them the relief that they need right now. And that's why we all hope the Senate will move quickly to pass this bill and send it to President Biden's desk for his signature. And rest assured, we will do everything we can to make sure that that does, in fact, happen. And so we're here to say the House has passed this incredibly important relief package that will make a real difference in the lives of Rhode Islanders, will help us rebuild our economy, keep us safe, and crush the virus. And now it's time for the Senate to move quickly and for President Biden to sign his own American Rescue Plan. And with that, I'll now introduce my colleague, my senior colleague in the House, Congressman Langevin.
Good afternoon, everyone. David, thank you, and couldn't agree more with you in your comments. It's time to get this bill through the Senate and now onto the President's desk for his signature. The American Rescue Plan is going to make a tremendous difference in the lives of every Rhode Islander and every person across this country. It truly is an American Rescue Plan, and it couldn't come at a more vital and critical time. I want to begin where David left off and recognizing, thank you for all of our frontline healthcare workers who continue to rise to the challenge of keeping Rhode Islanders safe each and every day, like the heroes who have been working here and just right next door to either test, to vaccinate, or to treat people. They were in the convention center as an overflow, as an alternate site where people had to go to be cared for. I know it's a standby mode right now, but it's just a moment to recognize all of our frontline healthcare workers for extraordinary work that they are doing. I want to thank my colleague, Congressman David Cicilline, for the introduction and for his partnership in the House of Representatives as we represent Rhode Island in the House and work together to get this bill across the finish line to truly, again, rescue both the American people and the people of Rhode Island. I am deeply appreciative of his partnership, again, in helping to ensure that Rhode Islanders get their fair share of federal resources to keep people safe, help struggling families, revitalize our communities, and support those who are on the front lines. Let me also recognize the next governor of the state of Rhode Island, Dan McKee, who is about to take the reins of the governor's office, and I look forward to our continued friendship and partnership that we've enjoyed over these many years. You have a lot on your shoulders, Governor, and we look forward to making sure that you have everything you need to be able to succeed on behalf of the people of our state. Let me also recognize Mayor Elorza. Thank you for being here today. As David mentioned, early Saturday morning, the House passed the important legislation to implement President Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan. It does exactly what Jay Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, have called for in going big. Janet Yellen, former chair of the Federal Reserve, now Treasury Secretary, who outlined that it is more dangerous to do too little right now than it is to do too much. Joe Biden has heard that call. The House of Representatives have joined within that partnership in going big, in passing this $1.9 trillion aid package, and now it's up to the Senate, and I have confidence that the Senate, along with Senator Reid, Senator Whitehouse, will get this bill across the finish line and get it on the President's desk. The crisis we face requires bold response, and Americans simply cannot wait any longer. We need to get money into their pockets with $1,400 relief payments and extended unemployment benefits, provide and aid and to keep food on their tables and roofs over their heads, and so much more. My friends, too many working families right now are struggling to make ends meet through no fault of their own, and it's vital that we get cash assistance into their hands to help them to cover the essentials, and we will. The additional $1,400 following the $600 down payments that we had already provided at the beginning of the year, I know will make a tremendous difference. To beat the virus, this package will allow us to do a more robust testing and get more shots into the arms of Rhode Islanders. We also need to make sure that our schools, from our students to educators, have the support necessary to succeed as we begin to safely reopen. Democrats have been consistent throughout this pandemic that, again, it is more dangerous for Congress to do too little than for us to do too much. So if we don't act with urgency, we risk a slower, more challenging recovery. High unemployment remains a challenge, and it will continue to remain a challenge unless we act. That's why this bill could not come at a more timely moment. Rent and bills are obviously due. Families are hungry. Small business owners are worried about their future, and they need assistance now. So we answer their call to help by passing the American Rescue Plan, and I certainly look forward to the new Democratic majority in the Senate moving swiftly to pass this measure to deliver the aid that our constituents so desperately need. The more than $1.7 billion in aid for our state will become as a result of this $1.9 trillion package being passed. That $1.7 billion for Rhode Island's, the state of Rhode Island, cities and towns are going to help keep essential workers like first responders employed and ensure critical services continue. Because the alternative would have been that there could potentially have been significant layoffs of frontline healthcare workers or police and fire. We cannot allow that to happen, and this bill make sure that it will not. Additional funding will help local authorities carry out the testing and vaccination efforts that will save lives and keep more Rhode Islanders out of the grip of this terrible virus. Hundreds of millions in aid will also help families with child care, support early childhood learning, as well as offer a critical boost to schools and universities. And as we look towards the future, this relief aid will help rebuild our communities and make them more resilient. So with that, without a doubt, we're seeing progress in our fight against COVID, but obviously more work remains yet to be done, and we are ready to continue this fight to do whatever we can to make sure that we get the right resources into the right hands at the right time. I know my colleagues, again, Senator Jack Reed and Senator Charlotte Whitehouse, are going to work diligently to get this bill passed. We look forward to working with them to get it across the finish line and onto the President's desk. And with that, it is now, I just want to take a moment in closing to once again recognize the men and women across the state who have worked day in and day out through this entire crisis to provide the care that they have been providing to protect Rhode Islanders, make sure that they have what they need as they get through this virus. Heroes from all walks of life, from the National Guard to EMTs to CNAs to nurses and doctors and others who are on the front lines, including people even in our grocery stores, our frontline workers in grocery stores, have been working tirelessly to provide support, to test and now vaccinate our community members. So we are forever indebted to you, and I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all of those frontline healthcare workers. So with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce the next governor of the state of Rhode Island, Dan McKee, who will share some words on how critical it is that the Senate pass the American Rescue Plan and get it onto the President's desk for him to sign it into law.